And cutscene time. I will continue blabbing over these cutscenes, mostly because I'm sure you all enjoy my horrible, horrible voice acting. I'm sure you've heard worse, though. Why does that chick look familiar? And why is she running up? She has a gun. That guy only has a sword. Do you not realize how guns work? Are you really that stupid, really? Trinity? Ranger, you can't help her. Go, and leave her with me. What? We need that girl. She's the only one. She's the only hope we have of saving this rotten world. I don't care what you want. I don't deal with criminals. Admirable for a ranger. Too bad you don't realize there's more to this world than what you can see with your eyes. Listen, there are some things you'd be happier not knowing. Forget you met me, and forget that you met a girl with wings. Here, come with me, child. Ina, of course, being pretty much silent and patting her butt. There is a reason why she's silent and all that stuff. Ryu noticed it earlier, and it's going to come up eventually. Trust me, he can't help you. She shows everything through various motions and stuff. Alright, Ranger, let's work together. At least until we leave End Sector. Gee, just moments ago, I'm supposed to trust you? We both want to protect her, right? I'm Lin. Come on, introduce yourself. Don't be shy. Whatever. Seemingly she only talks very, very shortly. Let's go, Ranger. Lin joined you. 1 page added to your item list. Which is good. We need more storage. Dear God, we need more storage. Seriously, the inventory is so fucking limited. A Trinity attack? Ryu is missing? I see. What happened to the cargo? Cargo? I barely made it out alive! That cargo was top secret. We should have secured it before coming back here. Falling from that height? It couldn't have survived! The brass don't like excuses, Bosch. Find the cargo and get rid of it. Permanently. No matter what it looks like. Understood? Get rid of it. Obviously she's not lying because the text is red. And now we switch back to the old waste shaft. I find it funny that Lin joins your party, even though moments before she was trying to kill you. In fact, she's the whole reason we got into this mess in the first place. For that matter, if Nina is so important, why the hell was she destroying that container with the bazooka? I mean, doesn't she realize that you could kill whatever's inside by doing that? Really? I'm just saying, wouldn't it make more sense to just, I don't know, break onto the train or something? Here we have her ranged attack. Unlike the other characters, she doesn't have to be in melee range in order to attack things. And she also has a charge-up shot which knocks enemies back outside of battle. Pretty useful if you're really good at positioning enemies before you get into fights. Not really something that's too important here, but sooner or later, it's going to have its uses. Switching back to Nina because I generally find her to be a bit more useful starting off, at least more than Lin. Here I'm trying to set up a flame trap inside of this little side area here, and putting a couple around, just because I'm trying to lock that little blob in. Fuck these slimes. I fucking hate slimes. They're super high damage, and they're a real pain to fight. Flame and Frost. Yep, right there, 50 damage, 1/3 of Lynn's health bar gone in one turn. And keep in mind, I hit that thing first, so this is actually one of the more optimal setups going into this. If he got the first turn, then he'd probably do a lot more damage than that on me by now. Really, really fucking hate that guy. And here we have Nina's abilities. She has a basic shot type, and she also has a knockback shot that's sort of similar to Ryu's kick, except its range. Hey Hey is just a basic melee attack, well, ranged attack really. It just does basic physical damage. It's kind of similar to Ryu's slash. Stay Here is her other level 2 attack. The way that works is it allows her to cause enemies to stay in place, so she can decrease their movement speed and movement range and stuff like that. It's really useful if you want to lock an enemy into position and then have Lynn and Nina blow it away from a distance without it getting in too close. Of course, that also kind of limits Ryu's options since the enemies won't charge you. However, well, I'm not a huge fan of using Ryu right off the bat, and you're probably going to see a lot more usage out of Lynn and Nina for the most part. And again, I'm taking fucking forever to fight this fucking thing, because I really did not come into this with a good setup, and I really fucked myself over by thinking that you could actually knock him into those stalls in the corner. No, you can't actually do any of that. Fortunately, he does drop some equipment. We found a lot of equipment, but there's nobody down here to identify it. You can't go to that shop and get it identified. We actually need to wait until the next town. I found that kind of funny that you have to get somebody to tell you what the item is before you can actually use it. But hey, whatever. And here we have a new enemy type, the Hermit. These are your classic weak to magic, pretty much immune to everything else enemies. The only way you can really take these things out is with Nina. And since she only has the G flare right now, wow, that did a shitload of damage. Fortunately, heal kits do not take up turns. Thank you, heal kits. You fucking save my life all the time. Healing her up to maximum health, probably not something I would recommend since you are kind of using up heal kits pointlessly. But the thing is, she has really low health, and every little bit counts when it comes to her. So it's kind of worthwhile to just waste those rather than have her die at some point. And Nina using her out of the way to knock it into the flame traps. That's pretty much the most useful strategy for taking those things out right now. Of course, right about here, we pick up an ability that kind of renders that a little bit less useful. This is Nina's first direct attack spell, Jolt. It's essentially Bolt 1 or Basic Lightning or whatever you want to call it. It's another level 1 skill. I'm putting it onto the X button. I mentioned before that it uses buttons. I actually said that a bit wrong. It actually uses the circle, X, and square buttons. Triangle is just used to go into another menu, much like the O and R buttons, the L2 and R2 buttons. Yeah, I'm apparently really fucking slow on a lot of stuff. Lynn just has a lot of basic stuff here. I'm just showing it off. No level 3 skills, just level 2 skills. And really basic equipment, the pistol, the tri-charger, and the wall chaps. Nothing cool, nothing useful. But hey, whatever. And there's another hermit lying in the corner. Hermits are pretty easy to kill once you realize the trick that you can only really damage them with magic. Once you figure that out, you're pretty much safe. And here we have Jolt being used. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but considering it's a magic attack, and it's about the only other magic attack Nina has right now besides the G-Flare, which can only attack indirectly. It's pretty useful. You'll see me using it quite a bit through the rest of this dungeon and the set of videos. and possibly beyond as well. It's not a terrible skill, but it's not exactly exceptional. I use it quite a bit. It's decent, and as you can see, just showing here, that it is completely immune to everything. Everything. The only way you're taking these things out is by hitting it with Jolt until it dies, or luring it onto a flame circle. Or knocking it into a flame circle, but yeah. Unless you use magic, it's going to take forever to kill one of those things. If you can kill it at all, for that matter. Which you probably can't, because everything seems to do 0 damage. And once again, they pull the whole 2 paths diverge in a yellow wood bullshit here, where you take one path and then you later realize, oh shit, right, I should have went down the other path because there was an item there and it leads to a dead end, and I should have just went down there first. Oh well, that's why everybody invented backtracking. A lot of Zenny, thankfully, corpses everywhere, no way to get through here, and some dynamite, which is good. More traps. Very useful, since this dungeon does get a little bit bullshit at times, especially towards the middle and end. But hey, it's a good opportunity to test out some of your characters and develop some decent strategy. More ladders. We are now a mere 1,180 meters below ground level. We're slowly making our way to the surface, or not. And that music change denotes that this is another danger room, so we have to take out all these fucking spider stitches. At least I think it's spider stitches. They keep using a stitch skill in any case. Fortunately, they're less dangerous this time around, since Nina now has Bolt, or Jolt rather. And we have Lynn, who can attack from pretty much anywhere as long as she can see the enemy, which makes these spiders a lot less annoying to deal with. Especially if you didn't buy any Footloose items like I didn't. You might want to consider doing that just in case, but yeah, I didn't spare the inventory space. I'd rather use that for items and equipment and various other shit. It's all in how you play. I like to play dangerously. How about you? Do you play safe? I don't. Everything in here drops fucking lurid dust. And clearing up some inventory space by using the traps constantly. Don't be afraid to use the traps, that's why they're there. They aren't very expensive to replace. And in the long run, you'll probably have plenty of money to deal with it. Plus, hey, it can knock the enemies down to pretty low health and make them a little bit easier to deal with. So yes, use traps constantly. It's a thing where people try to hoard traps in this game. They end up using up a lot of inventory space with them, or they drop them all into their item locker, hoping to use them later, but then they never do. You don't want to do that. You're just making the game harder on yourself. Use up your traps. Set up traps, like I'm doing right here. See this? I'm dropping a bomb right there by the doorway, and then knocking an enemy into it. As you might notice, that doorway is a little bit of a choke point, so any enemies in the other room that want to come in here will have to go through that. That's going to become important real soon. Because, yes, there are a bunch of spiders on the other side of that door, even though you can't really see them because they're latched onto the ceiling in such a way that they're pretty much invisible right here. And using the good old walk Nina onto the fire trick, she's completely immune to it. Don't worry about using it. It's actually one of the best places for her to be right now, since enemies probably die in 1 or 2 hits from those things. And it's pretty likely you're going to put those really close to Nina anyway. Nina is a wonderful piece of bait. Although I really have problems hitting enemies sometimes with her little staff thing. It's really slow, it doesn't have the range of Lynn's gun, and it's not quite as fast as Ryu's sword. But again, I like to have Nina getting the extra turn, at least at this point, since she is quite a bit more useful. And here's a good trap setup. Put everything right in front of the door. If the flame circles don't get them, I can detonate the bomb, and I'm pretty far out of their movement range. So just thinking tactically here, I'm pretty much safe here. But keeping the bomb for now, just so I can use it a little bit later, so I don't accidentally detonate it. And if the enemy doesn't get too close to you, just hit it with Jolt a couple times, tweaking it up. And if Lynn gets a turn, start shooting it with your pistol. It's all very simple. You just want to kill enemies before they even get anywhere near you. Very, very slight experience points gains. Probably because I'm killing everything when I go through the dungeon instead of running through. You can opt to just run through, but I'm not using party experience points, and this is a fresh file, so kind of opting to go with trying to kill everything for the first time through, at least. And fortunately too close to it to put down one of the traps, so I'm kind of stuck here trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Eventually I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna move out of the way and put a trap right there in front of the door. Victory. Traps everywhere. Nina and her delicious traps. And yes, her wings are actually sparkling. She is not a vampire, and those are not vampire wings. Relax. It's actually something completely different, and it is tied into some of the storyline overall. As for long-term Breath of Fire fans, you're probably noticing that Nina looks a little bit different. Nina tends to be in her upper teens, and she tends to have really big, angelic-looking wings, whereas this one looks much younger, and she has these weird-looking red things that don't even look like wings at all, even though they're repeatedly referred to as wings. That's partially because this game is set in a different sort of timeline, different world, and this Nina isn't really related to the other ones. The other Ninas are from, I believe, the same family. I think a few might have even been the same person. I could be wrong on that. iVolt is thankfully adding a couple annotations to these videos. At least that's what he said he was doing. So hopefully he'll correct any ridiculous bullshit I might accidentally say at some point. Because it has been quite a while since I played some of these games, and no doubt I probably forgot a shitload of stuff, and I can't exactly say I'm an absolute source to go for on these particular games. I played them, I had fun with them, but I can't exactly say I remember every little detail, aside from a lot of the general stuff. But if you're looking for some of the other Breath of Fire characters, you're probably going to be looking pretty hard because they're not here. Some of the long-term ones go there. So exactly what is the deal with Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter? Well, the whole thing is that it's sort of an alternate world. It doesn't fit into the timeline of the other games, it's completely unrelated. And there's the item thing that she does. It's set in a different timeline, it's not really connected to the other one. This is more of a science fiction, dystopian future type thing going on here, as opposed to the more fantasy setting of the other games. I really kind of like the movement towards this, but yeah, it kind of met with mixed results, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But for now, I'm showing off the heads-up display that appears whenever you use Lynn. It allows you to see whatever she's aiming at, since her weapon is a little bit weird like that. And here we have the Rust Phage, if I'm remembering it right. I'm not actually sure if you could check the enemy names mid-battle, but yeah, I'm just going to call them Rush Phages and assume I'm right. They drop the pretty nice blouse item, which sells for pretty decent amounts of money. At least decent amounts at this point in the game. And they die very quickly from Lynn's projectile attacks. Of course, there's another one in this battle, but I have no idea where the fuck it is. All I know is that it's out of Lynn's line of sight, which means she can't attack it. So, what do you do in this situation? You just put down a bunch of traps and hope for the best. Because sooner or later the enemy's going to have to make a move. And when it does, you're going to know exactly where it is. Those phages are a huge pain in the ass because they're very easy to overlook. But fortunately, whenever they get a turn, they become pretty obvious. And then you just keep hitting it with her basic attack over and over, and it does without incident. Very simple.